guys. Yeah, 2017. Another year where other things kind of got in the way of my work over on this channel. Again, I apologize for that, but if you do watch my other channel, you know I'm taking big steps to help remedy that situation a bit, so hopefully in 2018 we'll be seeing more stuff. But still, even with the fucking nightmare workload I had throughout 2017, I was still able to get a ton of games played. Hell, 2017 was an awesome year for games, and I'm glad I was able to catch as much good stuff as I did. And I even have enough games to do a best and worst type of dealie this time around, but here's the thing, I kind of don't want to do that. At least not to that extent. I don't know, there were a decent amount of games that I played last year that I really didn't like, but even in that, I wouldn't call them bad games necessarily. I do have enough to make a worst list, but even some of the bad games I played weren't terrible. Again, 2017 was a great year for games. I didn't play a lot of stuff that outright boiled my piss. I played a few. Oh god, did I play a few? But most of it was at least okay. Let's just call this list more of a favorite and least favorite games of 2017. Let's be chill about it. I even have a few honorable mentions this time out, though, to be fair, the honorable mentions here are more of a dumping ground for remasters and ports of older games that came to new hardware, but still, I played them and I liked them, so holy shit, the Switch had a good year. Like a damn good year. And it needed one too, but it got it, by God. Even with that nightmare of a restocking issue in the early days, Nintendo raged back into full gear with a vengeance. And I was happy to see this get ported over. While this is essentially just what the original Mario Kart 8 should have been, Mario Kart 8 was probably one of the best games on the old Wii U, and now that it's on superior hardware that actually is fully portable, and now that all the little gripes with the game, like the shitty battle mode and such, have been ironed out, yeah, if you're gonna do a deluxe edition of a game, this is how you do it. And if you're gonna remake a bunch of really old titles, this here is how you do it in a collection. The Insane Trilogy's success, while kind of baffling, was still welcome to see because they did an excellent job with these remasters. Again, it's a great example of a remastered collection, buffing out most of the annoying, dated flaws of the older games while keeping their aesthetics, gameplay, and ball-busting difficulty intact to help interest the younger crowd while satiating the grumpy old codgers who played the low-poly originals. It's honestly a great way to get reintroduced to the Crash series, and it's shown Sony that bringing back old properties can be a very good move for them. Let's hope we see more good stuff coming down the pipeline. Oh, holy shit, it's already happening. Awesome. Look, I'm putting this on the list because now there's practically next to no reason for you not to play this game now. Yeah, I know, all the memes and the weird porn and all that shit have made this game practically unapproachable now, but look, if you're like the last person on Earth who has not played this game, I implore you, pick it up. It's a motherfucking delight. Undyed is best lesbian fish waifu. Yeah, I kinda don't have much to say here necessarily, but yeah, if you pick this game up for the Switch, not only will you have the best version of one of the best games made this decade, you'll also be able to play it on the toilet. And for a game that's so sickeningly gross and full of body horror and disgusting humor, really that feels like the only appropriate way to play it, doesn't it?
Was that the game or me?
Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 Remix. Oh my god, Kingdom Hearts subtitles suck so goddamn much. Yeah, this one's also mostly on the list for the fact that it assembles the absolute clusterfuck of games and chronologies and other horseshit of the Kingdom Hearts umbrella into a nice singular package that's easy for pretty much anyone to digest. or at least as easy to digest as Kingdom Hearts can be. Look, at least it gives us all the shit that's actually worth playing. I mean, again, the games aren't too drastically changed from what they were on their old system counterparts. It's Kingdom Hearts, like it or lump it, but you know, thank Christ, we have everything collected in one nice, easy, simple, accessible package to help catch us up on the clusterfuck of story and gameplay elements before Kingdom Hearts 3 finally drops. And even then, I'm not sure how much help this thing is. Kingdom Hearts is a mess, guys. And that's the honorable mentions done. Cool beans. Now let's dip into the list proper. I have 14 favorites and 9 least favorites, because I just played a weird amount of games this year. I don't know, guys. So let's do this list old school style, shall we? We'll power on through the faves until we get about halfway through, then we'll cycle in the less favorite candidates. Sound like a deal? Cool. The Surge. Oh, this one came as quite a surprise to me. I rented it through GameFly because it was like the only game I was able to get shipped from my queue at the time. Seriously, GameFly, it's been like, how many years? When are you gonna get your shit fixed? But I also rented this game as a conscious attempt to actively play more bad, or at least more troubling games this year. I did honestly want to play some stuff that I heard were downright stinkers. Hey, you can't truly appreciate what's good until you've slogged through the real shit, right? So, truth be told, I went into this game with low expectations, but this one actually turned out to be a very pleasant surprise for me. I mean, I get why people have issues with it. I totally get it. The story's crap, the characters are mostly annoying and or forgettable, and it's not exactly the prettiest or smoothest running game out there on the market, but as far as Dark Souls clones go, yeah, this one was pretty alright. I had a surprising amount of fun with it. The combat is a lot of fun, the weapons and upgrade system is nice and intuitive, the world, lore, and environments are interesting, and I think I just like the idea of a dystopian cyberpunk Souls 'em up where the main villain is basically Skynet by way of Steve Jobs. That premise, even if they don't execute it to its fullest potential, is still very interesting. There was a lot about this game I just really dug. It sure as hell beats the crap out of Deck 13's last Dark Souls knockoff. I mean, Jesus Christ, I hate Lords of the Fallen. I hate that game with a passion. But given that Deck 13 appears to be capable of learning from their mistakes, as the Surge proves, I legit might have to give Lords of the Fallen 2 a try now. Huh. I mean, if it's still happening, that is. Okay, let me get one thing completely straight right from the get-go. Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, just isn't as good as Wolfenstein the New Order, or even Wolfenstein the Old Blood for that matter. It has some major problems that keep it from being high on the list. The awkward, uncomfortable mix of ineffective stealth and nightmarishly difficult arena shooting gameplay, combined with a story that, while still having several really hard-hitting and impactful, enjoyable moments, does veer off into cheesy camp way too often and way too gloriously. This does make the game feel like a less effective version of the new Wolfenstein formula, but all that having been said, this game was still really fun. When the game is firing on all cylinders, it's an absolute thrill ride. This was the first game I bought on my new PC to test its abilities, and hot damn, this thing looks gorgeous running on full blast graphic settings. It's fast, it's thrilling, it's intensely fun, and when it works, it does work really damn well. It's not exactly a perfect game though. It will piss some of you off if you're not willing to look past its bumps and flaws, but still, if you enjoyed New Order, this is one to pick up. I'm definitely pumped to see what Machine Games have in store for Wolf 3. You know, I saw a lot of people coming down on Fractured Butthole, particularly after the honeymoon period, about a week or so after its release and everyone had gotten a full playthrough in. Namely, it was too similar to the previous title, Stick of Truth, and it incorporated too much humor and in-jokes from the series' latter seasons, which a lot of people may not have been up to date on, and while I do see where those complaints come from, believe me, I totally get it. I still really dug Fractured But Whole. Even if it doesn't exactly reinvent the wheel, it still mixes things up enough to stay interesting and engaging throughout most of its run length. The combat's been drastically improved, focusing more on tactics and positioning rather than the more rote traditional RPG style of Stick of Truth, and the game is still chock full of the kinda gross out, edgy, go for broke style humor that's become such a trademark staple of the series, though it just doesn't have quite as many knockdown, drag-out hilarious moments as its predecessor did, and I swear to God, the final boss fight and the ending is a colossal letdown. When this game ends, it just ends. It sucks. But overall, it's still a really fun and simple to get into RPG that's great if you're not exactly the most seasoned RPG player out there. But the game does also come bundled with a port of Stick of Truth, so if you need to catch up on this series, hey, you're certainly getting bang for your buck. Again, I'm still excited to see what the South Park guys have in store here. But making Canada DLC is bullshit. Fuck you, Ubisoft! Man, was I glad to see Resident Evil make a comeback, weren't we all? I mean, fuck, the boring, action-focused who-gives-a-shit-a-thon of Resident Evil 6 and all those other side games. Resident Evil was definitely on the brink of full collapse for a while there. Legit, I still can't believe Umbrella Corps was a thing that actually happened. But Resident Evil 7 helped bring the game back to its survival horror roots, and was genuinely one of the best horror games to come out this year. Hell, it's the scariest Resident Evil game, flat out ever. Granted, that's not saying too much in some respects, but by stripping out the bloated and bland action set pieces, shifting the perspective to first person and focusing the gameplay more on puzzle solving and inventory management, stripping the combat back to the make every bullet count style, and by building the story and lore of this entry more on the creepy and grotesquely unsettling Baker family, as opposed to the tangled web of bullshit that's become Resident Evil's main series plot, Resident Evil reinvented itself and fixed a lot of the mistakes that have been plaguing the series since Resident Evil 5, more or less. Hell, this game might be the best game ever made for PlayStation VR. Hell, this game is almost reason enough alone to pick up a PSVR unit. If you don't mind shitting your pants, that is! Another strong ass reason for you to go out there and get a Switch. Now that you actually can. Splatoon 2 took pretty much everything that made the original Wii U game so much fun, and again, just added and improved upon it and hammered out most of the kinks. The new weapons, arenas, and clothing options were all great to mess around with. Getting into matches, whether they be with randos or friends, is still easy to set up and fun as hell to play, and the new Salmon Run mode is an absolute blast to fuck around with, if not supremely unfair at times. Oh, I hate this game, but I still love it. Oh my god. While the game still does suffer from a few small nitpicks, I mean, the single player is still just tolerable, if not completely useless. I wish there was way more amiibo support, and the game does overall have a more of the same kind of vibe. If you played the first Splatoon, there's not a ton of variation here, but it's still a must-own game for the Switch console, especially if you're like me and you missed the Splatoon train the first time it came into town. Again, Nintendo had a very strong year this year, and games like Splatoon 2 are part of the reason why. But Nintendo was by no means flawless, and while we still have plenty of Switch games on the good side of this list, now is the point in the video where we have to start introducing the less great games of 2017, and personally, I can't think of a better way to start this particular side of the list off than with... Okay, look, remember what I said at the outset. This is a favorite and least favorite, not a best and worst. Would I call ARMS a bad game? No, not at all. It's functional, it looks great in some respects, and if you're looking for a unique take on the one-on-one fighting game, this certainly is unique. Look, I know some people love this game, and you know what, more power to ya, but this game is like, just the definitive not my cup of tea game that I played this year. I could never get used to this game's fighting style, no matter how I controlled it, with the controller or with motion controls. I just couldn't get this thing to vibe for me. Attacks are ridiculously delayed, it's hard to control your punches, and you have to plan every move like 5 seconds ahead in advance, and if you screw up even once, your opponent can just dominate the hell out of you. And look, I may just suck shit at this game, that's completely a possibility, but I genuinely had zero fun while playing this. And it isn't just that I'm garbage at it either. The game has other big issues. I'm sorry, but these character designs are ugly. What the fuck even is this thing? And the game modes outside of the main fighting are total bullshit. The volleyball and basketball games are downright embarrassing. Come on, Nintendo. Again, I don't think this is a bad game, not at its core at least, but it is one of those titles that has a lot of kinks and weird factors to it that, will definitely be a turnoff to some. It was certainly a turnoff to me. This franchise may still have potential yet, it truly might, but this, to me at least, isn't the best first step out of the gate. Neo was another exquisite Souls 'em up coming from Namco Bandai of all places. This version though combines the lightning fast and highly kinetic approach to combat, more akin to something like Bloodborne, and stuffs it full of medieval Japanese folklore and charm and the cuteness. This game really shows us that the Souls-like formula can work in many different settings and under a lot of cool, unique tweaks and adjustments to the circumstances. The level of customization in this game is insane. Your gear, your armor, your weapons, your fighting stance, your fighting style, so many other aspects can all be tackled from so many different avenues that it makes replaying areas and discovering and trying out new items and new fighting stances and new styles just an absolute joy. It's a crazy deep game to get into, almost intimidating at times. Neo is definitely one of the best Souls games to not come from a Souls developer, and if you're into Souls or even curious about trying something out in the genre that isn't, immediately identifiable, yeah, this is more than worth a look. Very solid game. Oh god, again, people, remember, favorite, least favorite, not best, worst. I don't think I can objectively call Prey a bad game. And again, to the people who love this game, look, I get it. Believe me, I see where you're coming from. I wanted to like this game. It gets so much stuff right. The characters are terrifically written, the environments are beautifully designed, and the way the game integrates moral choices in unique and creative ways is truly fascinating, at least for a while. It's a game that, while it borrows way too much from System Shock, does do a lot of cool and interesting things with that general style of game. It may be derivative, but it does a lot of cool stuff with the ideas that it borrows. The themes it explores, the moral questions it asks of you are brave, bold, and exceptionally daring. It's a game that genuinely challenges both your abilities as a player and your beliefs as a person. But this game is just full of bullshit. Ow! The combat sucks so goddamn hard, and the weapons are all borderline useless. I know that's meant to contribute to the themes and mood of the game, but instead of immersing me in a sense of fear and dread and helplessness, all it did was piss me off by killing me in repeatedly cheap ways over and over and over again, and making me sit through some of the worst loading times I've ever seen in this generation of consoles. And while the story and character decisions carry a lot of weight in the beginning of the game, by the end, everything shits the bed. Look, Prey got so close, and in some ways, it got some things very crazily right. Again, if this is on your best of the year list, I get it. But man, to me at least, this game just did not stick the landing. Oh, I'm sorry, that ending is terrible. Horizon Zero Dawn. This game turned out to be quite the pleasant surprise, didn't it? Not that I thought it was going to be bad or anything, but, you know, it's another open world, third-person sandbox game. In a time where the market is just so flooded with these kind of titles, even Assassin's Creed had to tap out for a little bit. I'm just saying, this game was going to have to do a lot to impress in a year like 2017. But even with all that working against it, by God, this game was still really impressive. Exploring the lush and colorful post-apocalyptic world and engaging monsters in combat was really fun and enticing. Instead of just bukkake their world map with useless busywork, the game made sure every quest, side quest, and little deviation you could take from the path was significantly fun to explore and traverse, and figuring out each new twist to completing a mission or opening up the world map really kept things feeling fresh and interesting. I swear to God, scaling the tall necks might have been one of my favorite things to do in gaming this year. God, I almost wish the game had more of them. All this, plus the well-written story and characters, makes this one of many, many great PS4 exclusives to hit the market this year. Again, Sony kicking ass in this generation. Poor Microsoft. I'll bet this one might come off as a bit of a surprise to see on this side of the list. Believe me, it doesn't give me much joy to have to put it here. Hell, this game leaves an absolutely wonderful first impression. You saw how much fun we were having over at the surprise stream. Honestly, I was enjoying the game, making my persona and, you know, traipsing through the levels. Everything looked gorgeous, the sense of speed and flow was great. I was enjoying it so much, I figured we'd do another day of streaming when I got the chance. Hell, the day after that stream, I sat down with the game and just wanted a little bit of me time with it, and then I ended up beating it. Like, what? Holy shit, Sonic Team. You almost fucking had it, but you just couldn't commit, could ya? Ugh. This is a 4, maybe 5 hour game tops, and given that this thing sold for $40 at retail,
that's no good.
The short length isn't my only bugbear with this game, though. The customization options, while super cool in many respects, are surprisingly limited. Given that this is like a dream that every mega Sonic fan has had for years, oh, this just doesn't go far enough with it. And in addition to that, it has a lot of the same old issues that all 3D Sonic titles have. The story sucks the finish off my Phantom Rubies. Infinite turns out to be one of the most ineffectual Sonic villains in Sonic history, and that's saying something. And the 2D classic Sonic stage is one of the best parts of Sonic Generations. For some odd reason, control really clunkily. Classic Sonic now jumps like he has a bag of sand tied around his waist. While this game did show a lot of promise, it's just way too undercooked of an experience, and it's way too insubstantial. This isn't the worst Sonic game by any stretch of the imagination, but man, it's also not one of the Hedgehog's stronger outings. I'm just full-blown convinced that the problem with Sonic games is at its core Sonic Team. And you know what? I have a lot of evidence to back that up because... Man, 2017 really was the strangest timeline, wasn't it? Not only do I have a Sonic game to put in my quote worst list, but I also have a Sonic game that goes in my best list. Like, holy shit, Sonic Mania was terrific. After having played both titles, yeah, I'm officially convinced. The problem with Sonic games isn't Sonic as a character, Sonic's gameplay style, or even Sonic's generalized focus on speed. The problem with bad Sonic games is Sonic Team. Seriously, Sonic Team just does not have any love for their little blue namesake anymore, and their cynical attempts to keep him relevant seem to keep proving that time and time again. But when the property is actually given to people who genuinely love the franchise, actually understand what makes the games work, and sincerely want to make a really good game out of the property, even after all these years, you can still do it right. And Sonic Mania, oh my God, it feels like the Sonic sequel we've all been waiting over 23 years to get our hands on. This is classic ass Sonic gameplay done right. By the fans, for the fans. It's a veritable greatest hits playlist of all the best aspects of Sonic's glory days, with a lot of new and interesting features thrown in to please both old school stalwarts and newcomers to the franchise. Seriously, when the end of level 2 boss turned out to be a mean bean machine face-off, I almost busted a nut. Or a bean, rather. There have been plenty of retro throwback games to be released over the past few years. Believe me, we'll be seeing more of them as the list goes on. But man, none of them have nailed what made their original game so great, quite like Sonic Mania did. Sega, please, pretty please, give these talented people more work. And just have Sonic Team play with a ball in the corner or something. I don't know, dude. Blech. Real talk, I was way too nice to this game when I reviewed it originally. Every time I've tried to go back and pick up and play this one, it just rubs me up the wrong way. Its weird, quasi-isometric perspective, the awkward life and continue system that renders it completely moot by the end of the game, the crappy, useless upgrades, even the multiplayer mode isn't really all that great. Man, everything Super Bomberman R does, I've just seen done better in other Bomberman games. I guess it isn't an awful game. Again, favorite, least favorite. But unless you are just the biggest Bomberman fan in the world, you'd probably do better to just go back and play your favorite Bomberman game on any other platform it might be on. Well, except maybe the 360. It's definitely a lackluster, lazy, sorta whatever feeling title. It's a low effort, mediocre, cobbled together quickly little game that seems to have very little heart and soul poured into it. So yeah, pretty typical Konami affair then, eh? You know what one of my favorite games of all time is? Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I love me a good Metroidvania game, and Hollow Knight was easily one of the best of those we got this year. Its world is massive, creepy, and absolutely daunting. Its characters are both cutesy and cartoony, while being equally unsettling and terrifying, and unlocking the world map, uncovering the lore and history of the world, and working your way towards that final battle is equal parts challenging, surprising, and very, very satisfying. Well, maybe not equal parts challenging, because holy shit, this game was hard. I hate to be one of those, quote, game journalists, but Hollow Knight is totally one of those the Dark Souls of games, this being the Dark Souls of Metroidvania more specifically. Combat is more focused on finding the right opportunities to strike, counter, and dodge away, and every major battle takes a certain level of planning and carefulness. Well, if you don't want to get wrecked, that is. But despite its somewhat steep learning curve, at least for this type of game, Hollow Knight really impressed me with its new and unique spin on the genre, and it really had me immersed in its environment, its lore, and its world. It's definitely a game worthy of your time. If Bloodstained comes out this year and ends up pulling a mighty number 9 on us, go back and dig this one up instead. I hope that doesn't happen though. Come on, Igarashi, you got this, dude. I'm looking forward to it. I rented this game for both Xbox One and PS4 back in July, and this was as far as I could get on either console. Does it kinda suck to put a game I technically didn't play on the worst list? Maybe. But you know what else sucks? Having your AAA game be dead on consoles after only 5 months. I told you this was gonna be high on my list, but yeah, guys, this game was an absolute dream title for me personally. I love Tetris, I adore Puyo Puyo, and I got a ton of mileage out of Puyo Puyo Tetris. For me, this game was my sanity game this year. I played a lot of this while making the Green Day retrospective videos, and between the excellent story mode, the multiple arcade modes, the pitch perfect multiplayer, and even the online battle modes, this game is basically an old school puzzle gamer's wet dream. I played this game online so much that I actually, for a brief stint, became the #2 ranked player in the entire state of Indiana. God damn it, I was almost the Hoosier king of Puyo Puyo. But yeah, this was another early release for the Switch, and if you can, I highly recommend going after that version. The quick play nature of these games makes them absolutely ideal to play on the go. It's just a nice little thing to whip out for 20 minutes and take your mind off of what you're doing. Legit, this game was an excellent thing to fiddle around with to help me get through my anxiety attacks. And believe me, in 2017 I had a lot of those. So yeah, man, this game was just, I am legit grateful I had this title available at the ready. I loved Puyo Puyo Tetris. Okay, so full disclosure, like For Honor, this was a game I didn't actually get a lot of playtime with, though thankfully not for that reason. I did try playing this game a few times, but guys, what didn't bore me about this title absolutely frustrated me. Ukulele just kind of makes me sad. This is just not a very good game, I'm sorry. Granted, I'm not exactly the key demographic for a title like this. See, I never actually played the Banjo-Kazooie games back on the old N64, so I didn't have any rose-tinted glasses to help make this game more palatable to me. I played a fuck ton of Super Mario 64, a little bit of Conker's Bad Fur Day, but that's about all I had walking into this title. I just picked it up on the off chance it might be interesting, and really, this is kind of the worst kind of retro throwback in a way. It's slipshod controls, finicky camera, befuddling level design, and ungodly annoying audio mixing. Oh my god, shut up. This game has actually kinda done the worst thing it could possibly do to a guy like me. It scares me away from the old Banjo games, honestly. Like, I have them. I have the remastered versions on Rare Replay for Xbox One. I haven't played them yet, and frankly, I'm kind of afraid to touch them, because if they're anything like this dated-feeling, clunky, unintuitive old mess, I don't know if I should waste my time. And that's super bad, right? Because those are supposed to be the good games. A game like this has given me a really bad first impression. Ugh. Man, what a good-ass game Cuphead turned out to be, eh? Oh, this little game. This was the little game that could this year. It just had a miserable, rotten uphill struggle ever since its inception, basically. It was apparently an absolute nightmare to make, it nearly bankrupted its creators, and they even went as far as to remortgage their house at one point just so they could get the game to ship. But by God, it was all worth it. Cuphead was an absolute blast. A finger-blistering, control-breaking, console-smashing kind of blast. But it was still a blast nonetheless. Yeah, holy shit, this game is challenging. But I still abide by what I said in my original review, in that the game is challenging, not cheap. Difficult, for sure, but in all of the correct and appropriate ways. Cuphead will test your skills, make no mistake, but the gorgeous art style and animation, the smooth, fluid, and responsive controls, the way every boss battle incorporates something new, interesting, or just plain weird, it'll just keep you hitting that continue button over and over and over again. That little millimeter of space before you realize you beat that boss is reason enough to just keep coming back for more, if only out of spite. No matter how often you die, no matter how much punishment this game may deliver you, its exceptional presentation and wicked fun gameplay just keeps egging you on over and over and over again. A definitive one more try game. Thank God this thing wasn't released in arcades. People would be in fucking debt. Yep, I'm putting it on here. Again, look, if you enjoyed this game, I get it. Even at this high of a position, I still wouldn't say this is the worst game ever. At least, after they patched out all the fuck-ups. Look, it just wasn't that bad. And to be fair, I think the game does actually get somewhat of a bad rap, but oh, what a step down for the legendary Mass Effect series. Mass Effect 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, and the ending to Mass Effect 3, as stupid as it was, kinda left everything wrapped up with a neat, tidy little red, green, and blue bow. There wasn't much wiggle room, need, or even demand for a Mass Effect sequel. At least not of this variety. I realize the game had a lot of cards unfairly stacked against it, but that doesn't change the fact that this title could not live up to the challenge. Mass Effect Andromeda was just so bland. None of the new characters were interesting. None of the new worlds offered much in terms of exploration and discovery. The plot was all just so low stakes. I never had that sense of thrilling excitement or white-knuckle tension that you got from all the other games. I never felt like I was achieving much in Mass Effect Andromeda. Most of what I was doing was just typical RPG errand boy shits. I was just having so much trouble getting immersed. And that was after all the patches, so look, I really wanted to like this game. Mass Effect is one of my favorite series, and I wanted to play good cop for my review, but I was just let down. And given its tepid sales, its complete lack of DLC and additional content, and given how EA has basically just done everything they can to quietly bury this title, along with all their other problems, this likely spells very bad things for the Mass Effect series, if not BioWare in general. The writing is officially on the wall. I mean it, one mediocre Dragon Age title and it's pretty much over for you guys. Like I said in my initial review, I'm really not a Zelda guy. Most of the games are alright, mostly, but I'm not one of those guys who goes full Tunic over Zelda. If a Zelda game is gonna show up on my end of the year list, it's gonna have to impress me pretty damn hard. But Breath of the Wild impressed me pretty damn hard. Hell, this was my game of the year for a good long while. Going third-person open-world sandbox with Zelda was a tricky as hell gambit, again, especially in a year like this, but Nintendo really nailed it with this title. Breath of the Wild feels truly adventurous. As you traverse the globe, building up your strength and forces to take on Ganon, you feel a real sense of accomplishment with every new temple you purge, every new ally you make, every new upgrade and secret you uncover. You genuinely feel like you're getting stronger, smarter, and more capable. You are literally taking the hero's journey, and more importantly, you're doing it the way you would want to do it. Not the way the designers would want you to do it, not the way you should do it in order to get the best ending or whatever. No, the way you want to do it. It's true personal freedom in a sandbox game. And man, it's all just so crazy satisfying. Not just a good Zelda game, but a great game, period. Again, if you are gonna pick up a Zelda title, speaking as kind of an outsider looking in, this is definitely one to get your feet wet in. And Sidon is totally best gay husbando. Oh my god, what is it with video games lately and wanting to fuck fish? Okay, fair warning, from this point onward, I'm officially taking the gloves off. Pretty much every other game on the least favorite lists, you could have made some kind of argument that it was a good game, or at least actually okay. These last two? Nuh-uh. These games suck. Capital S-U-C-K suck. This one in particular sucks because it's barely even a fucking game. It's just embarrassing. 1-2-Switch is marketed as a party game, but you can blitz through every single minigame in this title in like less than an hour. What the hell party are you at that isn't even clocking in at 60 minutes? You could argue it was basically just a tech demo for the new system, but A, if it's a tech demo, why the fuck are you charging $50? And B, even if that is the case, it's a shitty tech demo. A bunch of dated motion controller gimmicks that no one likes anymore, 2 games to feature the HD rumble thing, and one that uses the IR sensor that... Has any other game implemented that? No, I'm serious. Has any other game in the Switch's library used that yet? Why the fuck is this thing even here? At best, it's a cheap laugh to milk for a live stream or something like that. Pun intended, but no, I can't even say that because this thing is still selling for $50. Yes, even today, it's still $50. Like, it's charming for like a split second until you find out that yes, this really is the whole experience right there. Then you just get sad. And then you just realized you spent $50 on this. Nintendo, seriously. You know, I heard a lot of backlash get aimed at this game over the year, and where I do see where some of it comes from, I just cannot agree. This game, to me at least, was a fucking triumph. One of the bravest, boldest games I've ever played. This is a game that takes a lot of huge risks to deliver a poignant and powerful message about mental illness, emotional and physical abuse, and what it truly is to be a person who has to overcome these struggles. And just what it takes to be able to fight your way through those traumas. Yeah, it's a game that gets ugly sometimes, very ugly. It's very uncomfortable. It gets downright hard to watch and play in moments. It's an unsettling and unnerving, rattling kind of game. But it's supposed to be. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice does not pull any punches when it comes to its subject matter. As someone that does suffer from mental illnesses, I can't say I've ever played a game that really got it as well as Hellblade does. And the integration of Celtic mythology, the absolutely gorgeous graphics and sound design, the well-executed, if simplistic combat, and the absolutely wonderful performances from everyone in this cast, especially Melina Juergens. Seriously, her performance is astounding. I will straight up fight you over this. Makes this game one of the must-own titles of 2017. A true work of art. And it's cheap too, so, that's always good. Like, God damn it, it was a tough call for Game of the Year this year. It was honestly a very close call between Breath of the Wild, this game, and the game that eventually ended up taking the top spot. It was super, super hard to pick a winner. But you know what wasn't hard to pick, though? My worst game of 2017, which is... Oh, Jesus Christ, why? Why, Bubsy? Why? Why did you have to come back? Out of all the terrible shit that plagued 2017, you just had to pop in and show your hideous little face again too, didn't you? Fuck! This game is a complete fucking ripoff. I did see some Let's Plays of this and just figured, fuck it, we'll pick it up on Steam, do a live stream, and see if we can beat it in under 2 hours so we can at least qualify for the Steam refund. Just for the lulz. OBS crapped out on me, so I couldn't get that set up and working, unfortunately, but I have pictures of my finish time. You want to see them? An hour and 25 minutes? That's it. I beat every level 2, including that bullshit final boss. Hell, this run included 3 game overs. I burned through 27 lives trying to beat those last 2 bosses, and even with all my mistakes, I still cleared this game in well under the running time of most major motion pictures. Oh, but guys, the length is like the least of this game's problems, and yeah, looking at that length, that seems hard to believe, but oh, trust me, this game has problems that you just don't really feel until you're sitting there playing it. The music is dreadful and repetitive, downright ear-grating, one of the worst soundtracks I think I've heard all year. The game is fucking glitchy and unresponsive as hell. The controls are completely freaking borked. It's a 2D platformer that won't let you use the D-pad for movement. Seriously, you legit have to use the thumbstick in order to move, and oh my god, maneuvering a 2D platformer with a goddamn thumbstick? Oh, that's like my biggest pet peeve ever. What the fuck, is this game running in an emulator? Bubsy has some of the cheapest boss battles I've ever seen. They literally leave you sitting for minutes at a time before you can knock off even a sliver of their health bar. The only reason they're designed so dickishly is so they can pad out the running time of this game. This game that takes less than an hour and 30 minutes to complete needed padding time. Jesus, yes people, it's that bad. Not to mention that all of Bubsy's old problems are still here. The humor is shitty, unbelievably shitty. The level design is shitty. The combat and controls are shitty. The pounce attack often jumps over enemies as opposed to hitting them. The only real way you can make this game even somewhat more substantial is to do a 100% completionist run and collect all the yarn balls, but the yarn balls don't do anything. They aren't currency for a store, they don't power you up in any way, they aren't collectible or anything, they're just there. They make a number go up and you get achievements and gamer score points for it. Woo fucking who? Ugh. And all of this is put together in a game that just looks ugly. It looks like a goddamn iPhone game. I am convinced this game originally was meant for the goddamn Google Play Store, for fuck's sake. And you know what? That is a lot of shit to take in, but you know what the worst part of all of it was? This game originally debuted for the princely sum of $30. All this, $30. Do you know what else was $30 upon release? Hellblade! For $30, you can either get one of the best, most beautiful, most striking and stunningly realized art games of the decade, or you can listen to shitty puns about Taco Tuesday for an hour and a half and watch cutscenes that aren't even animated. Oh my god, look at this! Fuck your shitty JPEGs, Bubsy! I mean, say what you want to about 1-2 Switch, at least that's a fascinating blunder, and hey, it'll be fun at a party for like 20 minutes or whatever. Bubsy is a straight up scam. This isn't a $30 game, it's not a $20 game, this isn't even a $10 game. This is something that should be like $2.99 on the App Store, tops. I know the temptation to play a Bubsy game for the lulz may sound appealing to some of you, but don't. Please don't. There are no lulz here. There's actually negative lulz here. There is only pain. Jesus, there is a damn good reason he died back in the 90s while others thrived. Do you know why? Because other companies got their mascot platformers right. Other companies nailed it and committed to it year after year after year. There is absolutely no reason to waste your money and energy and time on cack like Bubsy when the big dogs of platforming are still alive, well, and kicking more ferociously than ever. Why in the motherfuck would you play something like this when you could just as easily be playing? Again, it was a tough call this year, but at the end of the day, my picks for the top of the list all boiled down to one huge question. Why do I play games? Well, several reasons. To test myself, to challenge myself, to engage my brain in new and interesting ways, and even occasionally, when a game is good or bold enough to do so, to teach me something new or make me feel something really gripping and intense. But mostly, I play games to have fun, to relax, to chill, to unwind. At the end of the day, it's really the games that are the most fun that make it into the highest echelons of my list. Breath of the Wild was an incredible journey. It was also oodles of fun, too. Hellblade, while an absolutely soul-shattering experience, was fun in its own unique, thrilling kind of way. But Super Mario Odyssey, god damn it, this game was super concentrated, overstuffed, bursting at the seams fun. And in a year like 2017 that was so full of misery, depression, angst, and anxiety, it's nice to get a reminder that fun was still out there, you know? And holy god, this game is fun too. This may be one of the best Mario titles ever made. It's at least one of the best 3D Marios ever made. The oodles of unlockable outfits, the unbelievably gorgeous and intricate level designs, the never-ending fun of throwing your hats at enemies and gaining their powers and abilities. Oh my god. This game is just brimming with fun. Seriously, my favorite thing has to be the new possession mechanic. Taking the power-ups out of a Mario game is really a bold move. Seriously, think about it. That's a risky as hell thing to do in a series that up to this point has almost always used power-ups as a means to freshen up and, change up its gameplay. But the possession mechanic replaces the need for power-ups so damn well that it opens up a veritable smorgasbord of new abilities, new means of traversing the world, and new methods of uncovering secrets. But even without all that, the game is still just aces as a 3D platformer. Every level is bright and colorful and fun as hell to traverse and explore. I often found myself just bouncing around certain areas trying to see if I could get to the top of the highest points of the map, or just crawl my way into weird little corners I wasn't technically supposed to get into, just to see if there were secrets and other shit there. And sure enough, more often than not, I was rewarded for my curiosity. Oh, and Mario's jumping and controls are just as fluid and natural as they were back in the Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy days. And the wonderful cast of characters you meet along the way, the bosses you face, the challenge courses, that freaking hair-pulling nightmare Dark Side of the Moon course. God, that level is a kick in the dick, but I still love it. All of it just comes together wonderfully to create one of the most ambitious, one of the most gorgeous, and ultimately one of the most fun games to play in 2017. This game alone is reason to buy a Switch. Back when the Wii U was floundering, people said that Nintendo was really gonna have to step up its game if they were gonna bounce back from that whole debacle. Remember, literally just like a year and a half ago when people were saying Nintendo was basically dead? Well, Super Mario Odyssey shows us that they were serious about making things right, by themselves and by us, and what a wonderful way to kick off a new Nintendo console with such a wonderful game, and what a wonderful way to help us close out the end of 2017. Man, I cannot wait to see what Nintendo has in store for us in 2018. And that's the list. Again, this was another very busy year for me, so there was a lot of stuff I actually missed out on, so let me know what some of your favorite and least favorite games of the year were down below in the comments. Thanks again for watching, and here's to more stuff in 2018, guys. Cheers.